Welcome back to Retro Wednesday. This is Mike from the Tydirium hangar, and today I'm going to talk to you about my top 10 list for the best Gobots made. Coming up. Alright, number 10 on my list is Copter. The reason Copter is even on the list is because he is a prominent figure in the show, in the cartoon. I actually enjoy the cartoon. Most people don't. But this figure, the figure itself, actually kind of sucks. If you notice, he always leans backwards because he is top heavy and it just pulls backwards. The alt mode's okay, and I'm missing a little propeller here. I'm going to be missing a couple of parts for these Gobots. Can't find my baggie of weapons. So these are like my multiples weapons that I do have and accessories. But as a helicopter, he does look pretty good. It spins okay. That's an alright helicopter. He's got some wheels on the bottom right there. So he rolls. That works. Rolls like a superstar there. But anyway, yeah, Copter's my number 10. He'd be higher on the list if he didn't lean back so bad, and he was a little bit more fun as a transformer. Now, you could also put his propeller in his hand for his effect, but for some reason it keeps falling out. I think it's just a bit worn. Number 9 on my list is Blaster. Now, Blaster is pretty cool, and I liked him in the green version the most. Come to find out, if my sources are correct, this yellowish orangish version came out first, and the green version came out second. And that's the one I picked up, and as a kid, loved that figure. I still think it's a good figure. Does have some issues. Feet problems. I have feet problems on both of these. In fact, one's missing a foot. They break off very easily. So that's an issue with this figure. But aside from that, I mean, it doesn't really have great articulation because the knees, they folds outward instead of working right. It doesn't stand up all that well. And his feet are supposed to separate, but if I do separate him, he will fall because he's broken. His head kind of flips around. But it's a cool figure. I had so much fun with him. When he transforms, those rockets go on his arms. So that's amazing. Number 8. Number 8 on my list is Creepy. Now, Creepy did come in 2 different colors, and I have both, and I don't have either one in their Creepy alt mode, but he kind of turns into sort of a scorpion-looking thing. But I think the green one was the Melloway and the purple one was the one you got in the store. And I don't know which one's more rare or harder to get. And I kind of haven't bought a GoBot in like a decade. These are just old ones I've had. And it's a lot of fun just having them. But I would say at one point in time, the green one here was my favorite, but purple's my favorite color nowadays. So it's a tie on these guys. And it's a lot of fun. It's a great figure. And I just really like how he's so odd, and I loved getting them in the mail back in the day. Number 7. Number 7 is Pathfinder. Pathfinder is kind of like a UFO, a female Gobot, and a good guy Gobot. I like this figure simply because just a really awesome looking figure, super simple transformation, and I like the fact that both modes look great. Now, I guess you can adjust the wings just a little bit, but I think it looks great. The head cover piece doesn't want to stay in place all the way very well, but it's just a minor issue, just a little bit of messing with it, and you can get it in place. But it's a cool looking figure nonetheless, just really clean in both modes. I like this figure. I always did, but as a kid, this was one of my favorites. If I had my childhood one, it would probably be torn apart from all the playing with it. My number six on my list is Scooter. And the reason Scooter isn't higher is kind of because, well, it's kind of an annoying character, but I love the figure. The actual toy itself is an amazing toy. And because of the way the transformation works, you have excellent articulation. So looking at, you actually have knee articulation, which is something you didn't have in these figures. Great arm articulation. And you can make them stand taller if you wanted to, like if they were tighter. But it's an excellent figure. I had a lot of fun with this as a kid. And since I collected more than one toy line as a kid, I found better uses for it. Because you could look at it and go, well, maybe Joe will fit in. No. But a mask figure fits in it perfect. And this mask figure actually rode on a motorcycle. So yeah, that really works, and this is an excellent figure. Both modes look good. Both modes are spot on, even though the extreme amount of mass shifting that was going on here went on in Gobots. My number 5 on my list is the Puzzler. Now I'm going to just call the whole six figure set the Puzzler versus each individual character. It is cool because it is an all-in-one combiner, something that the Transformers world goes nuts for these days, and they did it back in the 80s. And here's the thing, I didn't even know this existed until like a decade ago when I picked my first one up. But I got a couple of extras here to show you the Autobots. They also do transform into bots, so you can have bots, cars, turning into the combiner. Now the configuration I have this in, I like the most, but you're actually supposed to turn the arms a little bit different. That is the actual arm configuration. I like the first configuration better, but, you know, I'm just going to show you the real way it's supposed to be. The hands and the feet are all integrated. It all works, looks good. No real sort of action figure play can go on with this guy. He really has to be a statue, but as a statue, he does a good job. Number 4 on my list is Leader 1. And with a name like Smuckers, it's got to be good. And a name like Leader 1 should be number 1 on the list. Now, I did love this figure, and I thought it was great. That's why it's number 4. But I like some more better. And this figure, maybe it was because they made so many of him. He did have a Super Gobot mode. We'll talk about that in a second. The regular mode, which it matched the online counterpart, which most Gobots match the screen very well, which was Gobot's strength. And he did have his second recolored version, and you're going to see that more and more with the upcoming figures. But everything looks right, looks like it should. Now, if you get the Super Gobots one, which is about a 6-inch, tracking down these extra little parts like this that breaks off right here is very common for some of these extra pieces to break off. In fact, even with the regular figure, it's common for some of those parts to break off. And it really looks like just an exact upscale version of the original, which they would have done with all of them, including my number 1. Number 3. And my number 3 on the list is Psycho. And yes, I do like the Psycho mold better than the Leader 1 mold because all that bling bling, he looks cool, he looks awesome, and he looks bad. I do like his alt mode version better. I think just painting Leader 1 in mostly all blue was kind of a get out of jail free card. But the whole night looking scheme is just amazing. It looks awesome. The neon green and the black. The second version is an amazing looking one. In fact, I think it's the harder one to get, and I think it's the more expensive and rare one. The Super Gobot one, now I hate the giant backpack. I really wished it would be able to take it off, and I know a lot of people broke theirs off just to get it off so you could feel like you had an actual Psykill. And I really didn't like that the Super one didn't have the chrome that the little one did. I know it was a cost-effective measure. You got the chrome on the waist, but not the rest of it. But if this thing was chromed and you could remove the back, maybe just make it work the same way as the original, it would have been a better figure in my mind. But all in all, this Psykill is my number 3, the best. My number 2 is Crasher. Now, I loved the character. I loved the toy. I think part of the myth of this for me was I didn't have it right away, and it was a couple of years down the road till I found one and picked one up. Even though the transformation itself is very simple, it has little to no articulation. It matched the figure on the screen. It looks really cool. It looks menacing. It just looks so mean. And just look at that race car mode. It's perfect. I mean, you actually can't tell that transforms. It's such a good figure. And it got recolored into this white here. Maybe I should have picked a better version of the white. I think I had 2 or 3 of the white ones also. Missing one of the headlights, I guess. But it is really cool. Both versions are cool. I don't think I could have enough of this figure, and I really want a better representation of this figure in Masterpiece. Come on, bring it. Number 1. My number 1 on my list is Turbo. Turbo is a space awesome car. I don't know how to explain it. It's a race car, but it's nothing that we had on Earth. It is awesome. It is amazing. Yeah, this alt mode is missing his tires. They did have rubber tires for the time. That was kind of just the way things were. This figure looks amazing. It looks awesome. They have yet to make another turbo figure in any iteration, any way, shape, or form that beats the original. That makes this original the best Gobot ever made. It matches the on-screen counterpart perfect. It looks amazing. It recaptures every single thing that I think of when I think of this character, and I need this figure in a masterpiece iteration. The thing that the Action Robo whatever made is not turbo. It doesn't match this at all. This one's still better than the one that they made. They charge like 50 bucks for it. I want to see this as a masterpiece, but for this particular figure itself, it's still awesome. I still get excited and amazed every time I mess with it. So this is my number one. I do want to do a special shout out to Tank. Tank, I thought for 30, maybe 35 years that it was called Tank Ore, but it really is just Tank. So there it is. Easiest transformation ever. I am missing his little weapons that go with it. I know the weapons are somewhere in this house, but after 30 minutes of looking, I gave up. And I gave up simply because I didn't even have it on the list. I just wanted to know where it was. Anyway, this figure is pretty cool. It's an easy transformation, but there's not much you can do with it, like most Gobots. But in the end, at the end of the day, he almost made the list, but not quite. Let me know what you think about my list, my top 10 Gobots of all time. Which one is your favorite? Do you agree with my list, disagree with my list? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, Tydirium, out.